one. Okay, and we are live again on Codecademy's YouTube channel. Hello, everybody. I see that we have some viewers already here. So that's fun. How are you doing, Lucas?
I'm doing all right. How are you, Fede?
I'm doing great. So today we're going to be talking about Codecademy Docs. I'm Fede. I'm a community manager here at Codecademy. I've been in my role for about 2 years, and I help people connect with one another in community platforms and find support and the resources they need. And here with us today, we have Lucas. Lucas, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Lucas. I'm a curriculum developer here at Codecademy. I work on the web development domain on courses such as our CSS and JS course and our Go courses. And my pride and joy is our UI and UX courses, of which we released an intro to UI and UX design course back in the spring. And we have just released 2 more, Learn User Research Generative and Learn Design Thinking Ideation. You can go check those out after our stream. I also work on a lot of our free resources, including our articles and our docs pages, which happen to be the subject of today's live stream. And I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, let's just jump right into it. I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we're going to be talking about what Docs is and why you want to hear about it. Let's go. So I just share my screen. Hopefully everybody can see it.
Real quick, Fede, I'm just going to interject that we do have 2 Codecademy team members in the chat with us as well. Adam and Brandon are here to also lend a hand.
That's right. So if you have any questions, drop those questions in the chat. We're going to be taking a look at the chat and making sure that we answer all those questions. And we have team members right there, like Lucas said, answering questions as well on the fly. So great. You should be all seeing my screen now. This is the main docs page. So if you've never seen this page before, this is called the Codecademy Docs. And I'm going to read here from the paragraph at the top. Docs is a community-driven collection of code documentation for popular programming languages and frameworks. So what this means is when you're Googling information online, when you're trying to, you're going through your coursework at Codecademy and you might be interested in taking a deeper dive into a concept, or maybe you want to review something that you just saw, a loop, what is a button, what are things. Docs is fulfilling that purpose, is giving you that information right here on this page, very easy to navigate, very easy to see and to consume the information. And I want to show you some of the pages that we have here, just so you get a better sense of what this page can do for you. Let's say that you are learning JavaScript and you have some you have some questions about how conditionals work. So as you can see, once I click JavaScript here on the topics, and we are in the JavaScript main page, you get a collection of all the concepts that are here. And by the way, because this is community driven, it means that you also get to contribute to this. So we're going to jump into conditionals one as an example today, but imagine that you come to JavaScript concepts and there's one that you can't find. Instead of just, saying, oh, well, too bad, I guess nothing to do here, you can actually contribute to the docs and make them better for everybody and add that content. So if you Google it and you find the information somewhere else, come back to docs and make it better for you and for everyone in the future. So conditionals. Here's a page or an example page, for example, here in the conditionals. It will tell you what JavaScript conditions are, if statement. You see some example code here so you can understand it real fast, else statements. You can keep scrolling down, more information. And this is a really cool part of the page. It's called a code bite. And this is a live console embedded right into the page, which means that when you're writing this, you see here that there's a yellow button that says run. You can actually click it and run the code that you have. So let's say that you just read about JavaScript conditionals and you're thinking, wow, I would love to practice this a little bit. I don't know where to go. You can just use one of these code bites and run some of your code. I can just go ahead and delete some of this. If let's say you're not interested in this, delete it. You can run it again and practice what you just read about.
Yeah, those are a really awesome feature of Docs. And for those of you that are more advanced, we'll get into this in a little bit. But Docs is written completely in Markdown. So all of these code bites, and you'll see where we have like the code blocks and the kind of inline code segments are all really easy to get into Docs once we start contributing.
let's say I'm going to go back and we're going to jump into the UI and UX design hub. Oh, click too fast. And let's say that we're interested in learning about buttons. Here's some more information about buttons, right? So you're reading about it, you're learning what a button is and UI and UX design. And here you have some graphics that show you how it works, what it is. I mean, it's great to see all this information right here. It's so easy. And once you've navigated the docs, for 2 minutes, you already feel so at ease just navigating through and finding information that you need. It's amazing. You even have resources at the bottom, and you even have a quick link to the introduction to UI and UX design. So maybe you weren't on the course, but now that you've read about it, you want to, you might be wondering, well, is this something I can learn at Codecademy? Well, just scroll to the bottom and boom, there you have your title, click, it will send you right to the coursework. So that's great too. I think maybe we could just move on and start showing people a bit of how they will contribute to you, to docs. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, and I will take over the screen share. In preparation for this, oh, that's actually the wrong screen. Sorry about that. I will share this screen where I will be talking about some bugs that we found in kind of preparation for this live stream. So this is TypeScript. It's a a typed superset of JavaScript, and we have our own docs category for it. And our amazing team member Brandon in the chat noticed that we have this weird error happening where we have a page for function and a page for functions. And so upon digging a little bit further, Brandon realized that this function page is actually supposed to be type aliases, which means that this is kind of titled incorrectly. Luckily, this is a really easy fix, and I'm going to be showing how you can make a change like this, or change if you see kind of a typo somewhere in the content. We can use the GitHub platform to really quickly make a nice and easy fix to this. So I'm going to click this edit on GitHub button. And we'll first be met with this message that you need to fork this repository. So given that this is a big GitHub repo that we have lots of people contributing to, we have people fork off of the repo so that they can contribute back onto the to the main repo. So I'm going to click fork this repo. And now I have my own version of the docs, the entire docs service. I have a version of it on my own forked version of the repo. And so now we can see what this file looks like. So you can see if I jump back, we have these code blocks, and we can see those code blocks right here in the markdown, as I mentioned before. But what I'm going to change up here is this title. As we remember, it should be type aliases, but instead it says function here. So I'm going to change that to type aliases. And then the description looks okay. I think everything is okay in this. This should just be a quick fix. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to say update type aliases. I'm going to add in a description. I'm going to say fix title to say type aliases. And I'm going to propose this change. And we're going to compare those changes. So you'll see up here, for those of you that don't know the GitHub interface, I'm going to walk through it. I think this is a good time to make a shout out that we do have courses on Learn Git and Learn GitHub. So this is a, if this is an unfamiliar area for y'all, that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet with Git and GitHub and dive deep and understand exactly what this is. But I'll just be doing kind of a quick overview a lot of these concepts. So up here at the top, you'll see that the head repository. So what I'm editing is this live stream Lucas/docs. That's my personal GitHub. And I'm going to be comparing that to the Codecademy docs repo. So I'm going to be trying to push this change to the main Codecademy repo where it will live on the live site. So I am going to just double check that everything that I made is correct. Yes, I'm just changing this title. And I'm going to click create pull request. And it says if it looks like the first time, if you want to look at the contributing guidelines and code of conduct, you could. That'll go to our contributing page, and you'll be able to double check that you're doing everything correctly. But we can scroll down, and there's a lot of information here about getting appropriately credited so that you can appear. Actually, that's a good note. I'll jump back to the page, and we can see here for contributors, if you make a change to any pages here on the docs page, you'll be listed right here as a contributor, and you'll be able to prove that you contributed to this amazing platform. But for that, you'll need to follow these instructions, so be sure to do that. I am going to add a description in here. Luckily, I copied that previous description that I had before, fixed title to say type aliases. It used to say function, which was wrong. I am going to select the type of change that it is. So I am editing an existing entry, fixing a typo, bug, issues, etc. So I'm going to leave that. And there are all these checkboxes to make sure that we are following all of the code conducts, all the rules that we have around making Codecademy docs a nice and legal place to contribute to. So we do want to avoid plagiarism because it has serious impacts on Codecademy as a whole, and we don't want that affecting any sort of reputation around this. So we want to make sure that all writings are our own. It's okay to use resources, but make sure that you make it your own. That we follow the style guide, that we're not generating new warnings. That'll come up a little bit later. I have performed a self-review. Make sure that you don't have any typos or bugs in your code when you're putting this up. The next one also applies to that. I have made corresponding changes to the documentation if needed. That's not really relevant here, but we'll check that. I've confirmed my changes are not being pushed from my forked main branch. So that's a big part of this. We do want to make sure that we are in a different branch. That causes some issues with the docs platform. So we want to make sure that we're on a branch, not our main, a branch of our repo. And I'll cover that a little bit more later. And this also applies there. And I think that we are ready to create our pull request. So I will submit that. And we now have that pull request living in the pull request section of the docs, which lists out all the kind of proposed changes. We have 56 now. I don't think we mentioned yet that it is Hacktoberfest. And so Hacktoberfest is a big open source contribution month sponsored by DigitalOcean, where they encourage everyone to kind of contribute to open source. And so that's a way that you can participate is through our platform. And so we now see that update type aliases.md is added to the pull requests. And thank you, Brandon, for noting here that I need to sign the contributor license. So this is another aspect of contributing. It's just signing a license saying that you permit your own writings to be on this platform on Codecademy docs. It's a pretty standard agreement for open source contribution, but you can go through and read the finer details. I've read it before, so I know I'm comfortable signing it, but feel free to read deeper into that. So you click sign and you click authorize. And I have signed it. So if I jump back it'll automatically point me back there. It says all contributors have signed the CLA. And in some amount of time, it depends on how busy our content contributors are, such as Brandon. But eventually that will be, if there are any edits that need to be made, they'll suggest those. If not, it'll be merged straight in.
Lucas, I know that somebody here in the chat, Brandon already helped them, but I just wanted to touch real quick on that. They were asking about forks and how they work and if they were a feature of Codecademy or GitHub. And Brandon already explained this, but I just wanted to put it here on the video as well for people that might be watching to the future. Could you just kind of like real quick touch again on why people have to fork before they get to contribute to or docs?
Yeah, of course. So for full transparency, the reason that we have this set up is because we want a little bit of a level of separation where we can have thorough reviews by our team before changes are made to the GitHub repo. And so we do that by having forks, which if I go to my profile, you'll see I have this fork here. What I could do is I could show the process of making that fork manually. And then we'll use that fork when making, I'm going to be updating some documentation and adding a new entry, which is a very exciting thing and a little bit more work. So this is another reason why the Git and GitHub course is great, because if you aren't quite caught up or a little confused, this will kind of fill in, that course will fill in a lot of the details. But I am going to first delete this fork so that I am actually, that might mess things up, but I will just show exactly how it works. So you can click this fork button. And what that will do is create a version of this GitHub repo. It's kind of like a big folder that hosts all of the content. So what this is going to do is create a new version of the Codecademy docs on your own GitHub account where you can edit it, make it what you want it to be, and then you make a pull request for those changes so that they get merged onto the big Codecademy docs version where it will live live on the site. So once I make those changes, we would see it on this page, for example. So that's how forking works. Again, another advertisement for Learn Git and GitHub, where you can really learn about the fine details of forking. But I think if there's not any more questions, I would give, I think this is a perfect opportunity to show how you can kind of level up your impact that you have on the Codecademy docs and not just fix a typo, but actually add a new entry, which is our, my favorite part of the GitHub repo, in that we have so many contributions happening every day. If we look at this pull request again, you see we have someone submitting for Swift UI views, someone's submitting Java math methods, C++ math functions, all these different folks contributing new terms every day. And we are just building this really awesome documentation. So let's be one of those people. I am going to go back to the docs main page, which I can do by clicking on docs up here. And I am going to click this code button, which will allow me to open on GitHub Desktop. This also works in something called a command line interface. It's a little bit more advanced. Some people really like it. Some people are more comfortable with the GitHub Desktop. I'm showing this because it's a little bit more approachable and beginner friendly. So I, again, clicked this code button. I clicked launch with GitHub Desktop. If you don't already have GitHub Desktop, it'll prompt you to download it, but I already have it on my machine. So I am going to just follow the prompts here. It'll say it's making a new folder in my computer. It is cloning. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. Good to show this. So I actually cloned the Codecademy docs. What I actually want to do is remove this, and I want to clone my fork. So I'm going to go to my profile. I'm going to go to my fork, and I'm actually going to clone my fork. So up here, it'll say, your GitHub username and then docs instead of Codecademy docs. And I'm going to open that with my GitHub desktop, clone that. And kind of a little error there, but I think everything is okay. I'm doing this to contribute to the parent project. This is just going to change some settings, but we do want to contribute to the parent project. That's why we're doing this. Yes, thank you, Brandon. Really want to emphasize that, really important to clone the fork and not the Codecademy docs. I almost fell into that pit hole. Glad I caught myself. Be sure not to make the same mistakes as me. So contribute to the parent project. That's the setting that we want. I already have this GitHub desktop to be associated with my text editor of choice. You can put anything in here, if you prefer Atom. If you don't know, Codecademy has a lot of great resources to kind of figure out what text editor or IDE you would prefer to use. My preference is Visual Studio Code. You can set that there. And I'm just going to click open in Visual Studio Code. And that opened on the wrong monitor. So I'm going to bring that over. And here we have the Codecademy docs. It may look like a jumble of information. We have a lot of settings files here. The thing that's really important for us is this content folder. And inside that content folder is going to host all of the different categories that we have. So we see C, we have cloud computing, we have C++, we have CSS, a whole bunch of different topics. If you'll remember, I said that I wanted to contribute to the UI and UX design category because I have written up a little thing about stakeholders. As I mentioned, I've been putting out a lot of UI UX content, and so I want to grow the UI UX category. So I am going to go into the UI UX category, go into the concepts folder, and here we have the names of all of our concepts. So you'll see accessibility, you'll see animation, you'll see annotations. I want to add a new folder in here because I'm adding a new entry, and for that you add a new folder. And I'm going to call this folder stakeholder. A little bit of rhyme there. And I am going to put a file in here called stakeholder.md. That's a markdown file, as I mentioned before. Markdown is the formatting language, I think I can use the word. That is how our text is structured. I'm going to borrow. I think the easiest way to do this is probably borrow another file. So I'm going to borrow the sketching file just for its formatting and paste that straight in. At the top here, you'll see some metadata. So this is not going to be shown directly on the page, but it is going to be, I think it might be helpful actually for me to pull up this sketching file so that we kind of see how all of this translates. So I'm going to go to UI and UX. I am going to go to sketching. And we can now see kind of how this translates. So I have over here, we have this content. You'll see the content up right here at the top is metadata. So that's not going to show, and it's just going to show the title here, and then it's going to show this text. You'll see we have this double asterisk to designate bold, and we have this link. So for iterate, we have it in square brackets, and then we have the link in parentheses, and that's what creates this link here. So we are going to use this file, stakeholder.md. I'm going to change the title here to stakeholder. I'm going to take out this description. It is still UI and UX, so I'm going to kind of leave all of this stuff, the subjects, the tags, the catalog content. If you are doing a completely different category, you can look up the tags that already exist, but those are going to stay the same since this is already in UI and UX. And I am going to delete this text, and off to the side here, in my magical other monitor, I'm going to bring in the pre-written. I did some preparation. Sorry, guys. I did some preparation and already wrote this content. So in UI and UX design, a stakeholder, remember those double asterisks are going to show as bold. A stakeholder is anyone who impacts or is impacted by a certain project. This could include your intended users, administrators, and IT professionals helping set up your product, the engineers and product managers on your team, the salespeople who will be selling your product, and many more. So just a really concise definition there. I'm also going to bring this first sentence, so just a short snippet of that definition, back up into this description and put that right there. I think that the description shouldn't have any styling, so I'm going to take out those double asterisks. And I think that we are set to make this really quick addition. So I am going to go back to my GitHub desktop, which you'll see now should have some changes showing. Yep. And we've got here, it shows that we added a new stakeholder.md file and added in this content. I also want to highlight here, we do want to make sure, as our contributing doc mentions, I'm going to show this contributing doc. So we forked this repo, we cloned the repo to our computer, the forked repo, and we also need to switch to a branch. So it's okay that it's on main right now because I'm going to create a new branch here. And I'm going to call this add stakeholder. And we're going to create a branch called that. It's going to ask me, do I want to leave my changes on main or bring those to add stakeholder? I'm definitely going to want to add those to stakeholder. This is a really important step because it's going to enable us to make a pull request to the Codecademy docs repo really easily. So I'm going to do switch branch here. And great. I am going to go down here and it's create stakeholder.md, add stakeholder markdown file, just a short description there. I'm going to say commit. And oh, I think I made a mistake there. I'm also going to commit this. And we're going to publish this branch. So we'll click publish there. And that's going to send it to GitHub, and I can now click this create pull request, and I will have a pull request here. And it automatically, since we selected that that we want to contribute to the parent repository, it's going to assume that we want to make a pull request right to the Codecademy docs repo, but we're going to check that right there. See, we're trying to compare to the Codecademy docs base main. We are using our live stream docs add stakeholder branch right there. And I'm going to fill out that same information. So I'm going to add a description in here saying add stakeholder markdown file. Type of change, I am adding a new entry. I'm going to fill out all of these requirements that we talked about before. I won't go too deep into those, but just make sure you check those and that you agree and those are all accurate. They're really important for our guidelines and making sure that everyone is having a good time. And I am going to create a pull request and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, we see our pull request here. If there's any changes that need to be made, that'll happen as comments here in the GitHub. We have some tests that make sure that everything is running correctly, that we've signed the CLA. And if there's any failing there, our content contributors will be happy to help you out there and help you, have a smooth merge into our onto the live site. Great. I think that's a good natural stopping point. Do I have any questions? Any interesting anecdotes or anything like that?
Yeah, that would be a perfect time now to drop your questions in the chat. If you have any questions, I know that was a lot of information, but I mean, this, again, this is not meant to be like a full-blown tutorial of how to do contributions on GitHub or Git. For that, like Lucas said, we have a whole course on Codecademy that is a wonderful place to go learn all the intricacies and like the step-by-step of how this all works. But I think still you can see how it's not that bad at all. If you've never done it before, I'm sure that it's a little overwhelming, or it could be a little daunting. But that's sort of like, Lucas, I think it's one of the main benefits of why contributing to docs is so great. Because if you've never contributed to anything online before, it can feel very scary. Like, oh, wow, I'm going to go to someone's repo that I've never met before, right? Like this big thing. And I might mess something up. I might change something that I didn't want to change. So having something like Codecademy Docs, where the stakes are relatively lower, or where you can try and there's people on the other side waiting to give you feedback and like talking to you and like walking you, if you have any issues, walking you through the issues. I mean, that's like, I see that has a huge benefit for anyone that wants to practice Git on GitHub. Maybe they just finished the course and they want to practice.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really great opportunity. I think that, I am a former teacher. If I was ever struggling to learn a concept, one of the biggest things that helped me was figuring out how I would articulate that concept to someone else. So, a lot of people make flashcards for themselves. I think that this is a really great learning opportunity as you are learning about things. Contributing to docs is a great thing for your career, but it's also a great thing for your learning experience, so that you really drive home exactly what these concepts are. And also, it looks great on your GitHub profile. A lot of people use that for getting jobs. A lot of people use that to kind of show their contribution. And so, docs is a really great place to contribute to.
I feel like there's basically three main ways that you can look at this and like see the benefits right away. Number one is you get to practice Git on GitHub. So that's great. You get to practice it with us before you go into the wild, maybe try to contribute to more complex projects or from open source repositories where it might feel a little more intimidating. The second is that you get to practice, you get to build your portfolio on GitHub. So if somebody who goes to your profile, now they see that you are, committed and making changes to other profiles out there, to other repos. So that also naturally builds up your profile on GitHub. And I think the third one is what you were just touching on, which is practicing makes you better. The fact that you have to, do it, not just read about it and go through the coursework, but actually go into your keyboard, go into machine, or using the edit button on the page, doing it yourself, that just kind of like builds on top of that, make sure that you really have soaked in the knowledge, right? And not only the knowledge of GitHub, but you're contributing to docs. So, when one teaches to learn, you are also researching concepts. Maybe you look at docs and go like, this part of docs looks a little thin. I'm going to research this and I'm going to contribute a couple articles here. You're also learning new things, and it's kind of fun because you're researching it, you learn it, and then you commit it, and then other people read your content. So you see the impact, right? So I feel like those three, like practicing GitHub and then just building your resume online, I guess, your profile online, and knowing that you are contributing and practicing with other people. That sounds all like positives to me.
Yeah, spot on. Docs is a really great community. We have a really great community of folks, both internal and external, that are really willing to help you. This is a great learning experience for you. We're very happy to help. We don't get frustrated if something's not working. We're very willing to kind of help you through your first contribution, because we know that can be a scary thing. GitHub can be a scary place. So we really want to make that as smooth as possible for you and help you get your first pull request through.
Totally. I'm going to drop in the chat here a link to our Learn Git coursework. So that way, if anyone is wondering, well, okay, that sounds like a really cool course to do, there's the link, follow it, go learn Git on GitHub on Codecademy, great place. And if you don't have an account, go sign up for one. It's free. You can just start with all the free courses that we have, which is a lot in the catalog. And if you ever feel like this is something that you want to pursue as a career, or you just want to take a deeper dive, then you can also subscribe for Pro. And, the whole catalog is open to you at that point. So Thank you so much for today, Lucas. Thank you for the walkthrough. I think a lot of people are going to benefit from this and like just, getting to know docs a little bit better.
Yeah, thanks for hosting, Fede, and thank you all to everyone who came. I hope that this was a great learning experience for all of you.
Thank you, and see you on our next live stream. Bye-bye.